The drive from Queenstown to Wanaka is one most visitors will do while in New Zealand. Beside the two key road options, there is another great way to discover the region. Most travelers don't consider this one. In this video, I'll point out travel options, places to stop, and interesting sites you want to know about. My name is Michael. Let's get started. Queenstown and Wanaka are both located in Otago. The distance between both, it's around about a good hour, depending on which route you're taking. We will talk about those two key road options in more detail. We have here the one through Cardrona, and we have the other one going through Cromwell. Distance-wise, we're looking from around about 75 to 110 kilometers. Often people would consider to stay either in Queenstown or in Wanaka and discover the area from one of those locations. A third option I want to bring into play this time is to stay in a village called Cromwell. This is often overlooked by travelers, but it's the perfect location for both Queenstown, Wanaka, and actually the Central Otago region with places like the Central Otago Cycle Trail. Right, let's look into the first road option between Queenstown and Wanaka. This one here is going on the main highway, State Highway 6, passing the airport and going towards 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗁𝗂𝗃. This is obviously the main route, but I actually suggest to go through Arrowtown, which is a little bit further in the back here, but it's a much more scenic drive, and you actually get the added advantage you might be able to pop into Arrowtown Village, which is renowned for its history, gold mining days. It's a pretty nice little main road with gold shops and other little, there's a museum as well. So keep that in mind. This is an alternative to the busy main route here between Queenstown, Frankton Airport, and 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗁𝗂𝗃. So whatever route you select, you will be back on the highway, main highway SH6. You see that kind of zigzag. That is basically the junction, the arrow junction, where you head towards the Cardrona, the Crown Range Road. So the Crown Range Road is actually the highest road in New Zealand. It's around about 1,220 meters high. We'll go into details in a minute, but I want to point out a couple of places you may want to do as a side trip, because if you continue a little bit further, you're actually getting to the Kawarau Bridge, which is famous for the bungee jump. Let's have a quick look at that. So this is the birthplace of the bungee jump. When I came to New Zealand in the late 80s, this was basically, that was the time when it was established. So people jumping off the bridge, it's a stunning location. Even if you don't want to jump, it's worthwhile going in there and having a look. They have a large information center as well. So this might be of interest. If you're into food and wine, there's a couple of places you might want to be aware of as well. Here we have 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏. It's a very long established vineyard. They're focusing here in the Central Otago region on Pinot Noir. So this is a vineyard that's been around. It's a stunning location. It's a bit of a drive in. It's a gravel road in, but once you're there, it's just phenomenal. 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏. Another one is Gibston Valley Winery and Restaurant. Again, lots of food, lots of wine. They have a cheese place. They have one of the few underground cellars here in New Zealand. So that's another place you might be able to stop for lunch or just to pop in and do a bit of wine tasting. And if you haven't had enough of wine by now, then there's another couple of places you might want to consider is Peregrine Wines. That's quite a boutique vineyard. Again, mainly Pinot Noirs, and down here Kinross is actually a collection of local wine producers, a number of vineyards where you can actually taste them at one location. If you find this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button below. Also, we have a free New Zealand travel planning sheet in the description box below to download. So let's go back to our arrow junction and going uphill. This is obviously, as I mentioned before, the highest public road you can do in New Zealand. And there's a couple of viewpoints you want to stop. The first one is a little bit smaller, so I recommend actually to stop here at the summit place. Let's have a look at some pictures. They are just stunning, especially on a fine day, on a clear day. It's almost like a must-do to get up there and have a look into the Queenstown Valley with Lake Hayes, with Arrowtown. Obviously, in the winter season, that road can be hazardous, so you want to be aware of that. There's also a ski field not far away. We'll talk about that in a minute. But as you can see, this is kind of alpine region. Again, a picture in the winter season. So they sometimes do even close the road if it becomes too hazardous. There's also a couple of walks up here. If you feel like it, you can stretch your legs. It's all very well signposted. So this is the viewpoint at the Crown Range Cardrona Road. So from the top, it's more or less all the way downhill. You need to be mindful. There are some corners and bends. Say one lane in one direction road. It's a good road, but you need to be mindful of oncoming traffic. So you will arrive in the village of Cardrona. As pointed out, we got some ski fields here, the Cardrona ski fields here on the left-hand side. Obviously, they're open in winter season between June and September, roundabouts. It's quite a small place. There are some accommodation options available. As you can see, there is no petrol station, but there is a cafe place, a public toilet, etc. But there's also the famous Cardrona Hotel. This is an historic place. It goes right back into the gold mining days, and you can stay there as well. So they have hotel facilities. Yeah, some pictures to look through that. They have meals. It's quite a rustic place, and many people stop there just even go in there for a stop for a coffee, for even a wine or beer, depending on the time of the day. Again, in the winter season, this can be snow covered. So when continuing towards Wanaka, there's a couple of other spots I want to point out. Here's the Cardrona Distillery. They produce gin and whiskey. It's quite interesting over the last 10, 15 years. Gin production in New Zealand has become very popular. They also do whiskey here, and very popular place to stop by, maybe do a tasting or just get a bit of information about how this is all done and how it all works. So again, they're using local schist stone. As you can see, it's a beautiful material to build, and creates obviously a very rustic atmosphere, and combined with gin, wine and whiskey, it's a cool place to stop. So that's the Cardrona Distillery. Another local attraction which has become famous is the 𝗏𝗃𝗃 fence. It actually started in the kind of 1998, 1999, where women obviously started to put their bras onto the fence, and this has become quite a sight. I mean, there are now literally hundreds, not even thousands of bras hanging around here. So this is the famous 𝗏𝗃𝗃 fence. You might want to stop and maybe take some pictures. If you want to get active, especially horse trekking, this is an interesting place too. Horse trekking and quad bike tours. The whole scenery is simply stunning. There's not a lot of building happening. There's a lot of greenery, tussock grass, and so it's perfect either for going quad biking like these guys here, or having a horse riding trip. So you continue heading towards Wanaka, and there's a couple of other places you might want to consider, might want to stop, might take pictures. But at the end of the day, you need to calculate really from central Queenstown going into Wanaka based on the Crown Range route, about at least 1.5 hours. Calculate 2 hours if you want to have a stop and you make it a pleasant experience. So that's our number one route between Queenstown and Wanaka. So with our second route option between Queenstown and Wanaka, you basically pass the Kawarau Bridge, the Gibson Valley, the vineyards, etc. So you continue on the main road. This is obviously a little bit busier than the Crown Range, but there's a couple of sites you might want to stop. There's a Nevis Point, looking down to the Kawarau River, which is actually a famous whitewater river. Grade 3 to 4, there's another famous river, the Shotover River outside Queenstown, which is a grade 5. Here we have another place. It's a bit of an adventure center, 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝘁𝗀𝗏𝗏 Adventure Coast, So this is maybe something you want to consider as well. It's pretty much what Queenstown is all about: adventure, outdoors, all sorts of activities. So not far away from 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝘁𝗀𝗀 is actually the 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗃 So 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗃, you recall the Kawarau bridge bungee jump. There's actually a number of bungee bridge options in the area. So this is the 𝗦𝗃𝗃. It's one of the newest and most scary ones. I, as a adventurous person, I've never done it. It's quite a thing. I'm not even sure how many meters it goes down there, but it's a very popular site, especially for young folks want to do bungee jumping in the 𝗦𝗃𝗃 Valley. Again, stunning locations. It's all very barren, a lot of thyme, tussock grassland, and yeah, it's for the outdoor adventure seekers. So we just continue along the Kawarau River road. It's a pretty good road. There's a couple of stops you can do pictures. Here's the 𝗟𝗏𝗃𝗃, which is a kind of an older power station. You can have a quick stop if you want. That corner, especially when the rafting boats come along here, they go all the way. They're passing that. There's a gold mining center. I talked about it in a previous video, but again, you can jump. You can park here on the left-hand side, and there's a bridge over the river, and you basically go back in the gold mining days. These are the kind of original huts, partly, they have brought together here, and you get the feeling of what's happening in these days, 1860s, 1880s. There was a lot of gold discovered in the central Otago, and there's all sorts of techniques how they use these pipes here, how they actually got to the nuggets and to the flakes, the gold flakes. So now we pretty much come into the village of Cromwell. I would highly recommend to stop here. One part is the historic part of Cromwell here. This is very cool. There's some shops, there's some cafe places, a little restaurant. We had lunch there before. So this is a very cool place to walk around, to experience the local site. This is Lake Dunstan. I'll talk about Lake Dunstan in a minute. But yeah, that is the historic part of Cromwell. You would want to see that. For some folks which are interested in car racing, here's actually a race course, the Highlands Park. And I'm not into car racing, but this is a huge development by a private investor. It's going back all 15 years or so now. But you can actually also rent a Porsche or Ferrari, and you can actually drive along with a co-driver. You can drive the course, and there's a bit of a karts as well, and it's quite fun. Especially they have a bit of an exhibition here. They have quite a number of pretty interesting cars, and some people have their cars in storage here. There's a Volkswagen, a couple of Volkswagen, obviously. So it's a fun place to go, even if you're not totally into cars. So there's a couple of other things I want to show you, but let's move on. I will come back to Cromwell in a minute or so, because I want to finish that part going to Wanaka first here. So you continue traveling here on the State Highway 6. You have Lake Dunstan on the right-hand side. This is basically a man-made lake using the waters of the 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝘁𝗀𝗀 River. The 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗃 River comes all the way from Lake Wanaka. You may also want to traveling on the other side. There's actually another beautiful road on the other side with passing old trails, station, quartz reef point, wineries as well. I've done another video on that between 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝘁𝗀𝗀 and Queenstown. I'll put in the box below. But yeah, and mainly you will continue towards Wanaka here on the main highway number 6. There's a couple of other vineyards, and you need to calculate again from Queenstown with stops along, heading all the way to Wanaka. You want to calculate at least 1.5 hours. There's a couple of villages you pass. Here is 𝗥𝗏𝗃𝗏. That's one of a little settlement, but here it's an interesting place. This is the Wanaka airport. So the Wanaka Air Show happens every 2 years over Easter, and we just had it this Easter in 2024. Obviously, you will not see that when you're traveling along, but there is a very interesting museum about planes, the warbirds, and I would highly encourage you to pop in there. You see some of the aircraft, not those ones, but some of them There's quite a vibrant aviation community here in the Wanaka area, so highly recommend to stop at Wanaka Airport. So after passing the airport, you're more or less making your way into Wanaka. There's a couple of places you want to be aware of. The Wanaka Lavender Farm, that is quite a cool place. And they also have a puzzling world here, which is especially for children, obviously. Here, that corner, it's the road towards the west coast of the South Island. So you would actually head through Albert Town towards the west coast. And here we have Wanaka, located on Lake Wanaka. It's a lovely place for holiday makers. It's a bit smaller than Queenstown. I would say it's a little bit more local. Quite a few New Zealanders go there. They have holiday houses as well. So that's Lake Wanaka for you. Now let's have a closer look again onto Cromwell, because this is actually a really good location. It's located right between Wanaka and Queenstown, and it's around about 40 minutes to each. So it's a perfect location if you feel, look, we want to not only explore Wanaka and Queenstown, but also want to go into the central Otago region here, Clyde. This is a famous region for the Otago Rail Trail. So if you're into bicycling, then the Otago Rail Trail is maybe a really good option for you. You can do either a day trip or you can do a multi-day trip. Many of those bridges are formerly railway bridges, so they've been converted obviously to a cycle trail, and this is just a stunning, phenomenal area. It's very popular, very famous, and if you're keen to do that and traveling and bicycling through kind of like historic places as well. Gold mining again was very, very strong here in the 1860s, 1880s. I would highly recommend you need to make arrangements far ahead, especially, even cycle rentals you want to be aware of. It's very busy. But if you don't want to venture too far, there's actually the fairly newly developed Lake Dunstan Trail, and this is just phenomenal. You can start this trip from Cromwell. It's actually right, they have built a cycle trail right from Cromwell. There are cycling hire available. And you see, it's all beautifully structured. You have to have a certain level of fitness to do that one, but it's just magnificent. And because there's not much rainfall as well, you're often guaranteed actually good weather. But that is the Lake Dunstan Trail, which is fairly new. They're also building now a connection between Queenstown all the way to Clyde and Alexandra, which is towards central Otago. Here's the Lake Dunstan Dam. As we've seen before, Lake Dunstan was formed around about in the early 90s, I believe it was. So the rail trail is a magnificent place to stop at. Another key highlight in the Cromwell area are these boutique wineries. Famous ones like Mount Difficulty, stunning location, beautiful wine. Everything is very much small scale, but very high quality. You can have lunch there as well. Some of these places are lunch places. Like I point out another one, 𝗥𝗲𝗃 is quite famous for lunch. You see Mount Difficulty wine, Pinot Noirs again, and quite dominant here. And there's Bannockburn, which is an old gold mining area. Worthwhile. There's an old pub here, an old hotel. There is 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗀 Cellars, again a winery. That's 𝗥𝗃 Winery. Let's have a quick look. That's a great lunch place. Again, in the summer season, you need to pre-book. Very, very busy. Great place. So as you can see, this Cromwell area is a great little place to base yourself for the Central Otago region. Wanaka is not far away. Queenstown is not far away. Central Otago. And it's more for people which seeking a little bit more the boutique, the more quiet lifestyle, access to locals. There's a couple of beautiful accommodation options I just want to point out here because they are just stunning. Here is Burn Cottage Retreat. I stayed there a few times. They have 3 cottages, very well done. It's a lovely garden around the area and very boutique-y, very small scale. Again, contact with locals. If you're seeking that kind of experience, then the Cromwell area is the right place for you. Not far away in Lowburn, just down the road from Cromwell, there's another magnificent place, Mount Michael Lodge. A bit more upscale, a bit more luxury, swimming pool, beautiful views, beautiful bathroom facilities, etc. They have their own little vineyard and they're an amazing host. So if you're looking for a kind of a more luxury experience with stunning views, hospitality, Mount Michael is the place for you. As you can see, there are many travel options and places to stop on the drive from Queenstown to Wanaka. Check out the links in the description box below, download the free travel planning sheet and put any questions or suggestions into the comments fields. If you find this video helpful and you made it so far in the video, please hit the subscribe button below, thumbs up to stay connected for more helpful New Zealand travel planning tips. See you in the next video.